Charleston has always been a city that loved art. Incidentally, the first recorded artist in American history was here in Charleston, a woman named Henrietta Johnston, who was an up-and-coming artist in the early 18th century. So basically, if you're into arts and culture, you're in the right place. Our city has become a destination for the arts, including a vibrant contemporary arts market. I've watched that movement increase over the years, and I would argue that collecting art is its own art form, and it's one I've spent my life cultivating. I'm proud to continue Charleston's tradition of connoisseurship. And collecting something requires an initial spark. So since I was a kid, I've always been drawn to art. Although my parents were not necessarily what you would call avid art collectors, they did collect various mementos from their travels. My father was career military, and travel was part of their lives. So collecting at some level was instinctual for me, because we're all natural collectors and drawn to what we cherish. I'm the youngest of 5 children and from the Memphis, Tennessee area. My first clear recollection of my appreciation of art was visiting the Brooks Museum of Art in the mid-1970s. And it certainly was not the art we had at our house. The stop at the museum was just a time filler on our way to see the circus. So I guess you could say I started collecting that very day. I bought a circus poster. It was my first piece of art. And that poster is currently in my office today. Every time I see it, I remember what it means to love art in a childlike way. Picasso spent a lifetime trying to draw like a child. I've spent a lifetime trying to love art like a child does. And of course, styles evolve over time. I tell people it's okay to change your art. Like clothes, just don't keep it because you paid a lot for it, especially if it no longer moves you. I mean, look at photo albums from the 1980s and now. I mean, styles obviously change. But I did begin collecting, and I began collecting event posters and exhibition posters, especially when I would visit a new city or museum, because it was an affordable way for me to surround myself with art that meant something to me. And I do tend to hold on to things. My husband, Mike, describes me as an organized hoarder, and Marie Kondo would have a field day with me. And although I'm a scientist by training, art was always my passion. And I do believe a person's focus generally evolves with their collection over time. In 2003, Mike and I were married, and it was time to merge our respective as well as eclectic art collections. I'm certainly not the judge and jury for contemporary art, but we did have to make some tough decisions on what art would be displayed and what would be stored. I think the journey of a good collector is to buy what you like and follow the passion. Figure out why you like it. We started collecting together with a specific focus on supporting our local art community. We had a goal. We loved Charleston and saw a huge potential in the artists working around us. Our first piece of art was a commission piece of our home that we lived in when we were first married. And this piece is still so meaningful to me today because a relationship with a local artist began. And every time I see it, it reminds me of a home that has a special place in my heart. And although we loved that home, we needed more space. And in our current home, we had big walls to fill, and many of our acquisitions were commission pieces. Basically, Mike and I would tell an artist, here's your wall, create something cool. And matching the decor wasn't the point. We did not want to hamper their creative spark. The goal wasn't for a painting to match my sofa. So I buy art that I feel a connection to. I truly believe that's the cornerstone of a meaningful collection. The art in our home invokes an emotion each time I see it. And I actually know most of the artists who created the pieces, giving it an added dimension of value to me. So getting to know the artists and understand their process is half the fun of collecting. And I believe that these are the collections that resonate down the road. This could even be the start of a collection that encompasses a wing of a museum someday. I do think it's important to trust artists to do their thing. Mike and I went away for a couple weeks and came home to this, a guest room that we gave the artist and dear friend Carl Smith no parameters. The room was a blank canvas for him. And a good friend said that sometimes I focus on what the art symbolizes or represents to me more so than the actual beauty or the technical quality of the piece. To me, I just helped an artist validate their career dream of being an artist, and that inspires me every time I look at their work. Some people dream of being artists. I dreamed of leaving the corporate world, so after 26 years of hard work, it was time for me to do something more motivational. So 3 years ago, I took an enormous leap of faith to launch my company, Spire Art Services. And in my new career, people often ask how to be more involved in the Charleston art scene. I would highly encourage you to go to art museums, art shows, and galleries frequently. Start educating yourself in what you really like in regard to art. Ask people, ask questions, and meet artists. There's no rules, and that's the beauty of it. A couple of pieces in my home were by William Halsey, a legendary local artist who was way ahead of his time in Charleston. You should always be on the lookout for an artist who will stand out. When Halsey began painting these incredible abstracts, people probably looked at him sideways, but his work has stood the test of time and is treasured. Although we all can't be artists, we can learn to be connoisseurs. I would encourage you to surround yourself with as much art as possible. A single piece of art doesn't define your collection. It's the body of work. Choose with purpose, make decisions from the gut, and trust your instincts. And you can't learn about art or what you like regarding art by just simply reading about it. You've got to go out and see art, experience art, meet people along the way who are interested in art. And a photograph just doesn't cut it. You have to see it in person. And art is for everyone, and art is forever. I would encourage anyone to collect art in any type of art. It's an investment of a lifetime. And it's important to remember that there are a wide range of incredibly talented artists we have right here to support in our local art community. All they need is for you to participate. Interacting with and collecting their work ensures the continuum of connoisseurship here in Charleston. Keep the tradition alive, and I'll see you along the way. Thank you.